Ocean Crown Skyscraper, 58th floor. Panoramic windows overlooked the nighttime coastline, pulsating with lights. In the center of the room, surrounded by marble and leather, sat Arthur Blackstone, oil tycoon, multi-billionaire, philanthropist, and cynic to the core. Opposite him stood Commander Rex Holden, 42, a former Delta Force soldier and now the head of the private military company Cerberus Solutions. Next to him were three mercenaries. Kowalski, a sniper, a Pole with a gloomy look. Sema, communications and drone control. Grif, heavy support, a former Texas Ranger. "Are you kidding, sir?" Rex said calmly, looking over the contract. 24 hours of complete isolation, evacuation only with your permission, and keeping you alive despite all the risks. "$1 million each," Blackstone replied dryly, sipping his whiskey. "And the same amount if you don't let the press into my bunker." "Are you seriously concerned about your image? People are already tearing each other apart in the streets," Grif grumbled, watching the news. The screen showed chaos. Hospitals full of screaming people, police firing on crowds, an ambulance crashing into a crowd in front of a hospital at full speed. Sam leaned over his tablet and said, "All signals from FEMA and the CDC are gone. Something is breaking down, or being jammed." "So, the virus is out of control," said Kowalski, loading the silencer. "Your job is not to ask questions. Hold the perimeter. Evacuate me to the ranch in Georgia when dawn breaks. There's a bunker there that even the Pentagon can't find," said Blackstone. Rex sighed. He looked at the city. The fires were already visible, the silhouettes of people fleeing, and the first shots. "Then let's get started," he said. "Cerberus takes the contract. From this moment on, all channels are under our control." "And one more thing," added Blackstone. "They're already here." Someone was screaming on the first floor. "I don't think we'll need the elevators anytime soon." Rex raised his carbine, while Kowalski was already setting up barricades. The first 24 hours of contractual hell had begun. The darkness over the city was replaced by a red glow. Sirens wailed below, and the shooting continued. On the 58th floor, behind the armored doors of the penthouse, the mercenaries of Cerberus Solutions were preparing for their first assault. "Sema, give me a complete layout of the building," Rex said. "We have fire evacuation plans and technical shafts. The elevators are blocked, but one service elevator is still working," she replied, running her finger across the tablet. "Someone's coming up," Kowalski interrupted, looking through the window. "The survivors. They're moving like mindless meat." Grif had already barricaded the entrance and placed 2 C4 charges on the stairs below, on the 57th floor. "If they break through, I'll blow up the floor. But this is our last line of defense. We won't go back down any further." Blackstone stood with a whiskey in his hand, watching it all as if it were just another business game. "They don't scare me," he said. "I've lived through revolutions, raiders, and Congress. This is just another day." "This day is eating people, sir," Rex replied. "You have to understand that if we don't get out of here in a couple of hours, it will be too late. We have to fight our way to the garage. You'll get your passage. I have a helicopter on the roof." "The pilot is already in the air," said Blackstone. "Are you serious?" exclaimed Sema. "The airspace is chaos. The FAA has no control. He has a private frequency. He knows how to avoid the routes. But he will only land on a clear roof." Rex thought for a moment. Then he turned to the team. "The plan is changing. Grif, Sema, prepare the roof. Kowalski, come with me to the stairs. Blackstone will stay in the center of the room." A minute later, a hoarse groan and a metallic clang came from the technical corridor. "They're climbing through the ventilation system," whispered Sema. "And someone has already found their way up," added Kowalski, loading his sniper rifle. "Now it's for real." The tower, once a symbol of wealth, had become a trap. "The roof is clear. For now," whispered Sema, unhooking the cover from the man-pads they had taken from Blackstone's secret room. But you can already hear the roar from below. They can hear the sound of the generators. It'll be dawn in 20 minutes. In the meantime, let's prepare the landing site, Grif replied, placing signal beacons around the perimeter. Rex and Kowalski, leaving minimal defenses on the 58th floor, cleared the stairs down. On the 57th floor, there were more than a dozen dead. Shot, torn apart. For zombies were still moving. They had to be shot at point-blank range. Their former guards, Kowalski said, examining their clothes. Falcon Group uniforms. Looks like treason. Someone let them in. Someone from the inside, Rex commented dryly. On the roof, Sam opened an encrypted communication channel. Tower to Alex, 1. This is Cerberus Actual. We are preparing to land. The roof is clear, confirm course. In response, there was a short crackle, and then, Alex, 1 to Tower. Approaching in 11 minutes. If there is movement on the roof, we will not land. Great, Sema muttered. And there will be movement, because they are already in the elevator shaft. A groan sounded through the crack in the metal, followed by a sharp blow. Then another, and another. Grif, they're coming, shouted Sema. I'm preparing a welcome. He pulled a thermobaric grenade from his belt. The metal door of the shaft bent, and fingers covered in scratches and scraps of flesh poked out. Then a head appeared, dead, but full of hatred. One by one, they climbed up like spiders. Grenade, Grif shouted, and threw the charge into the shaft. Boom. A flash filled the air, a shock wave hit the concrete platform, and the zombie's body scattered into pieces. We can't withstand another wave like that, he said, clearing his throat. The guard is coming, Sam said, staring at the dark sky. Give us that fate. Just one normal takeoff. Come down. Grif's voice came over the radio. But quickly, we have news here. When the team gathered again in the penthouse, Blackstone was holding his satellite phone. On the screen was a photo, the base in Georgia, and it was already engulfed in flames. The bunker, destroyed. We've been betrayed, Rex said, clenching his fist. Someone sold your coordinates before we arrived. Blackstone was silent. Then he smiled ominously. So we're not flying to the bunker. We're flying to where I can get to all of them. To Washington. The air smelled not only of death. It smelled of politics. The Alex. One helicopter roared through the sky, cutting through the smoke and ash above chaos-stricken Miami. Inside were Rex, Sam, Kowalski, Blackstone, Grif, and the pilot, Blackhawks veteran Captain Brad Harper. Heading northwest. We're flying over Jacksonville. He's already dead, Harper reported. We have enough fuel to get to Washington, but landing there is risky. Rex sat across from Blackstone and kept his eyes on him. Your bunker has been wiped out. Who else knew its coordinates? Only those who had access to Project Atlas, Blackstone replied coldly. A few generals, a couple of senators, and me. Is Atlas a military program? Kowalski asked, cleaning his weapon. Biotechnological. I financed it for 10 years. They promised to create universal adaptive immunity. And they created this, replied the oligarch, pointing to the burning cities below. Sema turned abruptly. You knew? You knew it could get out. I knew the experiments were going too far. But the government covered it all up. When the first cases started in Venezuela, we were simply told to keep quiet. Rex slowly stood up. You paid us for protection. But this is no longer just a contract. Are you leading us into the heart of the conspiracy? No, Blackstone replied calmly. I'm leading you to the final node. That's where the main server is. And there's a copy of everything there, from reports to orders to destroy the laboratories. If this gets into the hands of the press or international organizations, the Pentagon will go up in flames along with the administration. And you? Grif asked. And I will be the one who uncovered it. A hero. A billionaire who exposed the conspiracy. Blackstone smiled slightly. And you are my bodyguards. The ones who helped humanity survive. You will be paid more than you can imagine for this. Rex was silent. Captain Harper, we're approaching Washington, Sam reported. But on the radar, there are several unknown helicopters. No call signs. It's not the press, Harper said, gripping the steering wheel. It's predators. The sky ahead was hazy, not from rain, but from smoke from fires, explosions, and anti-aircraft fire. Washington was already burning. Welcome, gentlemen, Blackstone said. Now we're all part of the big game. The Alex. One helicopter was making an emergency landing. Smoke from the city was obstructing visibility, and bullets were flying through the air. The air defense was not targeting zombies. It was targeting helicopters, drones, any target without an access code. Harper narrowly avoided being hit. We're going down on the roof of the National Archives, shouted the captain. Prepare for a rough landing. Crash. The helicopter hit the roof and nearly overturned. The Cerberus team jumped out before the engine caught fire. Harper, Rex shouted. The pilot was still alive, but stuck in the cockpit. Grif and Kowalski rushed to him and pulled him through the burning door. He's got broken ribs and a burned hand, Grif muttered. But he's hanging on. Damn veteran. Zombies were already climbing up from below. Sam, what are the coordinates of the server room? Rex shouted. The entrance is from the inner courtyard. The route is through the archive rooms. But the building's security isn't responding. They're probably either dead or not security, she replied, holding her machine gun. Blackstone walked among them, protected by the mercenaries' body armor. But he was calm. Too calm. I have the access code. The main thing is to get to the central hall. The server room is below it. It's a basement from the Cold War era. No one knows about it except a select few. They entered the ruined building. There were bodies in the corridors. Someone's attempts to defend themselves had ended in failure. Bullets in the walls, torn bulletproof vests, blood on documents. These zombies were once soldiers, Kowalski whispered, pointing to the uniforms. They're faster than normal. Maybe these are the ones that were tested, Blackstone said quietly. Rex stopped. Did you know that the project was tested on soldiers? I didn't give the order. But I didn't need to know. I just needed the result. And now the result is coming after us, Grif muttered, aiming his machine gun at the movement in the corridor. Har! A dead soldier in tactical gear lunged at them from behind. Sam didn't have time to react, but Rex shot the monster in the head with a burst of fire. Everyone down, he commanded. The basement was dark, damp, and cold. Among the old archives was a secret wall. Blackstone entered the code. Beep. The door opened. Inside was a gleaming white corridor. A hidden server room, like something out of a futuristic movie. This is where it all began, said the oligarch. And this is where it could all end. The door closed behind them with a mechanical hiss. Inside was a perfectly sterile space. White panels, cobalt lighting, server racks reaching to the ceiling. The air was cold, almost clinical. I didn't think the government had any places left without junk, Grif muttered, taking off his helmet. This is a private facility, Blackstone replied. The archive is just a facade. This is an independent computing network, disconnected from the Pentagon's network. The only node where unencrypted Atlas files are stored. Sema was already sitting at the console. Her hands glided over the keys, unlocking access level by level. The systems are intact. The virus didn't affect the internal logic, but there have been attempts at external interference. Someone is already looking for this data. There's no time, said Rex. Transfer everything to an isolated medium. Kowalski held the door. Through the thick glass of the server room, he saw red lights. The security lasers were still active, and then they suddenly went out. Was that bad? He asked. Bam! The building shook. The lights flickered. Then there was an explosion on the upper floors. The defense system is down, Sam shouted. Someone outside is jamming the backup generators. These aren't just zombies, Grif added, scanning the room with his gun. They found us. Rex jumped up to Blackstone. Who else could know about this room besides us? Only those who ordered Atlas. If they found out I'm still alive, they'll come. They're already here, Kowalski said dryly. Listen, something was crawling in the ventilation system. Slowly, laboriously. Metal scraped as if it were being torn apart by claws. Suddenly, a signal crackled over the radio. Rex. This is Harper. I stayed upstairs. But now I see a helicopter with government special services markings has landed near the museum. They're armed. No insignia. They're coming for you. Rex clenched his fist. Blackstone just looked at him with an ironic smile. This is the part of the government that doesn't want anyone to know about Atlas. They're going to destroy us. But first, they'll take the server. Sam, Rex said, how much longer? 5 minutes. And I'll wipe everything from the system after copying it. Grif, prepare a surprise for the guests. Understood, he replied, already reaching for the explosives. The countdown began, not only on the download timer, but in the history of the U.S. government itself. Download, 98%, 99%, 100%. The copy is complete, said Sema, pulling the drive out of the console and instantly initiating a full system wipe. Program Isolation 0 activated. In 3 minutes, all servers will be burned with thermosetting foam. No one will get in here anymore, she added. Bang! They're already in the corridor, shouted Kowalski, armed with a sniper rifle with a silencer. 1 in an NBC suit. 2 in armor. They're coming with thermal imaging cameras. They're not zombies. They're special forces. Rex decided. We're retreating through the emergency tunnel. Sam, you go first with the stretcher. Grif, cover her. Kowalski, you're on the rear guard. Blackstone stays with us. If they take this data, Blackstone said, they'll call everything that happened just pandemic hysteria. If, Grif muttered, they're already preparing it. CNN showed footage from Boston, apparently a terrorist attack with drugs. People are already swallowing this lie. Boom. The first wall collapsed. 2 unidentified men in helmets burst through the opening. Fire. Rex and Kowalski opened fire in bursts. 1 guest fell, the other managed to throw a flash grenade, but it only blinded them. It didn't explode. The delay saved their eyes. Forward, Rex shouted. They made their way to the emergency tunnel, a concrete passage hidden behind a cabinet in one of the technical staff rooms. Dark, narrow, with the forgotten smell of old metal. Where does it lead? Sam asked, pressing the stretcher against her bulletproof vest. To the old subway. The Archive Navy Memorial Station, Blackstone replied. If the generators are still working, we'll exit through the tunnel to the river. Behind them, they heard footsteps. The special forces were following them. Hear that? They're not just walking. They're listening to us. By the sound of their boots, by the ventilation, whispered Kowalski. They're professionals. They're not the government anymore. It's a shadow organization, added Rex. Maybe the same one that started all this. Sema handed the carrier to Rex. If I get killed, give this to journalist Salazar. He's the only one I trust. He's from the Intercept. Encryption, Grim 47. We'll all survive, said Grif, setting the last remote detonated mine. But if we don't, they'll definitely die with us. They descended into the darkness of the subway. Behind them lay the burning truth and fury of those who had built a system based on lies. Darkness enveloped them like the night sea. The lights on their helmets cast narrow beams of light, carving out the remnants of civilization from the ominous void. Broken benches, torn wires, blood on the walls. The subway station had turned into a shadow of the past. There are no fewer zombies here than above, Kowalski muttered. peering through his night vision goggles. But these ones are quieter. They're waiting. These aren't normal, Blackstone said. The Atlas projects also tested behavioral protocols, implants that stimulate aggression and endurance. Some have remnants of consciousness. You created the thinking dead. Sema shuddered. I provided the funding. Those who conducted the experiments lost their humanity long before they lost control, Blackstone replied quietly. Grif walked ahead, machine gun at the ready. Ahead, there was light, barely noticeable. Someone was there. Contact. People, he whispered. But not military. They stepped onto the platform. 3 people were sitting against the wall. A man in a firefighter's uniform, a young woman with an injured leg, and a boy of about 10. Their eyes showed fatigue and distrust. We're not infected, the firefighter said first. We escaped through the tunnels. It was hell up there. They wouldn't let us in. The military is shooting everyone. They're looking for data, Rex replied. They're not saving people. Sema approached the woman and bandaged her leg. The boy held her hand. His eyes had the same calmness that even war could not break. We have important information. It can save the world, said Rex. But you need to get out of here. Far away. We'll go further, to the river. The firefighter nodded. I know a sewer gate 2 stations away. I'll take you there. No, Blackstone interjected. We can't take that risk. If they see us with civilians, they'll kill them first. They're staying here. And you have no choice, Rex replied calmly. We don't abandon people. After a brief discussion, Grif gave the woman his spare pistol. Sema left a radio beacon in case any of their allies did come here. Let's move, Rex said briefly. And then, screech. Behind them, there was a noise. Loud and steady, like boots. But not quite. They're coming, Kowalski whispered. Who are they? Sema asked. The ones you can't stop with a shot to the head, Rex said. Genetic guards released in case of a leak. The first of them emerged from the darkness. It wasn't a zombie. It was something worse. What emerged from the darkness was human in form only. Tall, wearing tactical body armor without identification marks, its body overly muscular, its movements not dead, but too alive. Its eyes gleamed like a wolf's in the night. Fire, Rex shouted. Grif immediately fired his machine gun. The shells splattered blood on the walls, but the creature did not fall. It only roared, as if sensing that it had been angered. Then 2 more emerged from the left. Slowly, in coordinated movement. Without words. Without fear. Experimental soldiers. The Sabertooth series. They were Black Protocol security, Blackstone barked. They were created to suppress riots. Programmed killers. Kowalski fired at the nearest one. The creature collapsed, but not before throwing a sharp piece of metal that dug into his shoulder. I'm fine, he hissed. Let's get out of here. Sema tugged at Blackstone. You lead the way. Where's the exit to the tunnels? 200 meters down the platform. There's a hatch to the old technical collector. It only opens with my chip. Grif threw a smoke grenade, and everyone rushed into the darkness. The smoke mixed with the soot, turning the space into a solid maze. Behind them, there was a roar. Inhuman, animalistic, like thunder in the underground. Near the hatch, Sam fell to her knees, helping Blackstone enter the code with the chip embedded in his wrist. The light flashed, click. The hatch opened. Everyone inside. Rex commanded. When the last fighter jumped down, Grif got up on one knee, took aim, and fired again, right into the head of one of the saber-toothed creatures. This time it fell. So they do have a limit after all, he muttered and jumped down after them. They fell several meters down, landing in a sewer tunnel, half-flooded and stinking. But here, for now, there were no enemies. 15 minutes, whispered Sema, and we'll be on shore. If we get to the boat, we can still get out. Rex turned to Blackstone. You old devil, you're dragging half hell with you. But if we survive, the world will know the truth. Blackstone nodded, for the first time without sarcasm. And if they don't, at least they'll fear us. Ahead was the hatch to the last exit. Behind them were those who were no longer human. And between them were only minutes, steel, and willpower. The last hatch creaked like the door to an old tomb. Behind it was dawn. The smoke over the Capitol merged with the clouds. Fire, screams, the echo of machine gun fire. But here, by the water, it was quiet. Dangerously quiet. "The boat is there," whispered Sema, pointing to a half-camouflaged inflatable motorboat. "We can make it, if we're lucky." Kowalski was limping, his shoulder covered in blood. Grif held his rifle in one hand, the other bandaged with a tourniquet. He had been hit by shrapnel. Blackstone stayed behind, but he was no longer in command, just silently following them. "Move," Rex shouted, noticing a flash in the bushes. A tracer flew past his ear. "Ambush! They were waiting for us." Grif shouted. They fell into the mud and returned fire. People in black gear emerged from the forest, the same ones who had arrived by helicopter. No insignia, no words, no mercy. "Fire to kill," Rex shouted. Sema handed Rex the flash drive with the data. "If I don't make it out, get to Salazar. In New York. Thunder, 47. We'll all make it out," he said hoarsely. The battle lasted minutes, but it seemed like an eternity. Rex, Kowalski, and Grif fought with all their might. Sema crawled to the boat and started the engine. A bullet flew past her head, but she didn't flinch. Bam! Grif fell. The bullet had pierced his bulletproof vest. He was still breathing, but he couldn't get up. "Pull him up," Rex shouted. They pulled Grif aboard, and Kowalski jumped in last as a wave of fire engulfed the shore. Rex hit the gas. The boat pulled away from the shore. "We're alive," he whispered. Alive. On the other side, a few miles away, in an abandoned marina, they stopped. Wounded. Tired. But with the flash drive in their hands. Blackstone sat down on a metal container. His voice was hoarse but steady. "Now it's up to you. You have to show this to the world. Because if you don't, Atlas, too, has already begun preparations." "Are you coming with us?" asked Sema. "No. I'm staying here. My part is over. But yours is just beginning." 8:45 a.m. The Thunder 47 flash drive is activated. The truth begins to unfold.